Above the Foundry Square in Gotham, Batman flies with a boy he just rescued named Drew. The city has been infected by the Joker's fear toxin and has fallen to chaos. The Foundry Square sits at the center of Gotham, and, in spite of the rest of the city being remodeled and updated, the square's buildings have been preserved for 200 years. Jim Gordon lives here, as he likes the untouched history in this part of the city. Batman reflects that this has all changed as he arrives at Jim's apartment to find it on fire. The Dark Knight bursts into the building and hears Jim Gordon, only to find his longtime friend with an axe in his chest. Batman asks Drew for help, but the boy begins to panic at the dire situation. As Batman tries to calm the boy down, Jim Gordon rises from behind Batman. The Joker toxin has begun to affect the police commissioner, and though Jim tries to attack Batman with an axe, the commissioner is knocked out by Alfred's military-trained daughter, Julia. Julia informs Batman that further testing on the Joker's new virus has revealed that it causes cellular decay in its victims. Those infected will only have a limited time before they die, though Julia does not currently know how long that period is. She asks if things are usually like this in Gotham, but Batman says that this is a particularly ugly situation. Drew finds the first aid kit, and now, significantly more calm, gives it to Batman and expresses full confidence in Gotham's greatest hero fixing this mess. Drew and Julia leave to return to the base, while Batman secures Jim Gordon and begins to investigate the source of the virus. The Joker must have had help to do all of this, through his time disguised as a doctor in Arkham Asylum. Dick Grayson calls Batman and has returned to town to help the Dark Knight. As Batman is attacked by infected citizens of Gotham, the former Robin informs Batman that only one suspect was released by the Joker who could have helped with all of this. That man's name is Peter Decker, an old villain who is also known as Crazy Quilt. During this conversation, Batman is attacked by an infected soldier in a tank. Though he is nearly buried in rubble as a result, the Dark Knight manages to take the tank for himself and escape the civilians. Over the phone, Bruce tells Dick that the Joker knows his identity. Grayson grimly states that the Joker may have won. He can't be stopped. The virus has taken the city, and he knows Batman's identity. But Batman refuses to acknowledge that it's over. Dick says that he and his allies are here to help, but Batman says they need to stand down. In response, Grayson reminds Bruce that the last time he shunned his allies when the Joker was around, they were all nearly killed. But Batman doesn't intend to make the same mistake twice, and explains he just doesn't have a plan right now, and needs everyone to just be safe and ready to act. Bruce is having trouble coming up with a plan. They are treading unknown waters, and the Joker is behaving in a new way that is difficult to predict. Dr. Paul Decker spent a long time researching a process known as biological immortality. With a medical thread that the doctor developed, used in conjunction with gene therapy, Decker found a way to use these threads to preserve cells and keep them alive. Batman finds Decker's lab, but is attacked by the mad scientist. Crazy Quilt explains that the Joker came to him with the final piece of the formula the scientist has been looking for his entire life. Decker insists that something exists on Earth that can keep people alive forever. Adam Savage has been alive since the dawn of mankind, thanks to being exposed to this substance in its raw form. There's also a man, like a demon, who uses pits around the world to keep himself alive, though this appears to be a corrupted form of immortality. And finally, him. The link back to Gotham, the pale one who laughs, who encountered this substance long before Gotham was even founded. Batman manages to surprise Crazy Quilt and knocks him out of a window, pinning his quilt to the windowsill and demanding to know where the Joker got this substance. But Quilt says the substance is extinct and has been for centuries. All that is left is what is in the Joker's blood. Over the radio, Julia contacts Batman. The virus will kill everyone it infects in 24 hours, maybe less. She also ran facial recognition software on the Joker throughout Gotham's history. The villain is everywhere in Gotham that there's been a major tragedy over the last 200 years. It's possibly a trick, but if that's true, it has to be the best photo doctoring Julia has ever seen. Still hanging from the window, Decker reveals that he has a copy of the immortality serum, but Batman assumes this is a trick the Joker has played on the Doctor, and warns Crazy Quilt not to take the formula. But Decker refuses to listen and injects himself with the serum, only for his body to instantly decay and fall to the ground, dead. Batman has had it. This can't be real. Things can't and won't end this way. Julia asks where Bruce is going, and Batman says he has to do something he never thought he would have to do. Only one other group has been around since the very beginning of Gotham City. This faction is the only one with potential answers as to just how long the Joker has been around. Batman arrives at the Court of the Owls and wants to have a little talk about history. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden and this is my recap and review of Batman number 38. So for those of you who saw my last review of Batman 37 will know that I really liked the last comic. The images and ideas that came out of number 37 are bound to stick in my memory and imagination for some time. Endgame on the whole as a story and comic series has had a pretty solid start with the Justice League, but it was the surprise reveal of the Joker that's really brought this story to maximum levels of intensity and awesomeness. And I'm pleased to say issue 38 lives up to the same standards. This comic isn't packed with the same crazy awesome moments as in the previous issue, but it does a really good job at living up to all the events and promises made so far in Endgame. There's so much good to talk about here. The art is once again spot on and just gorgeous. Honestly, the art is reason enough to buy this comic all on its own. But on top of that is a seriously well done story with many cool parts. I love Batman commandeering a tank to get around in Gotham, or the potential for Joker having been around since the day Gotham City was born. If indeed the Joker is immortal, this would be a seriously cool twist to the villain and a very unexpected change to how we view Batman's greatest enemy. For the record, biological immortality is actually a real process investigated in science. It's a really interesting idea, and I actually like that they're incorporating it into this Batman story. If, on the other hand, this is an elaborate trick, I still feel that's consistent with the Joker's character, as it has to be one of the greatest and most elaborate schemes the villain has ever pulled off. In either case, it's quite impressive. There are even little things that I really like and stick out in this comic. Batman has an awesome little moment with the boy Drew, where they share a little fist bump and the hero even cracks a smile at the kid. Bruce has also shared a laugh with Alfred at the beginning of Endgame, and to me it feels like Batman is starting to return to form a bit, back at a time when his character wasn't driven entirely by grit and angst. Yes, Batman is a serious hero who likes to maintain a hard edge and use fear against his enemies, but he's still a person. Human beings like to laugh with their friends, encourage and smile at children, and generally be more layered than the typical one-dimensional brooding nature of Batman that I see all too often in modern Batman comics. A good comic is one where a hero is somebody the reader can relate to, and I feel like the writer Scott Snyder does a really good job with ensuring this by investing little moments in showing Batman as a flawed, imperfect human just like everyone else. It makes the stakes seem higher and the potential danger much greater, and this serves to actively bring me better into the story, and it makes things much more compelling. The only flaw that bugged me about this comic was finding an axe in Jim Gordon's chest like that. I'm no expert, but it seems pretty obvious that a wound like that should be fatal. But it's pretty easy to ignore that and chalk this up to the effects of the Joker toxin. It's a nitpicky, minor point, but one that I actually feel is quite silly. We all know Jim Gordon isn't going to be permanently killed off or anything, so that threat doesn't seem very real to me. But like I said, it's a very minor point in what I view as an otherwise nearly perfect comic book. And I'm excited to see what happens next. Whatever the Joker has planned, things are bound to become more interesting, and I can't wait to see how Batman's meeting with his old enemies in the Owl Court goes next issue. Without a doubt, this has to be my favorite comic I'm reviewing at the moment, and Endgame is shaping up to be an awesome Batman story. It's hard to tell at this point, but though I don't think this story will rank with the all-time greatest Batman stories, it's memorable and good enough that I'm very glad I'm reading and reviewing this one. Overall, this is a good, solid comic book. Do I recommend Batman number 38? Oh yes. If you like Batman, you really should see Endgame for yourself. You can buy this comic and Endgame through the Amazon links in our video description. We also have a Facebook page and website which you can also find below. Let me know what you think of Batman number 38 in the comments section. Are you enjoying it as much as I am? And finally, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.